Welcome to Meet the Candidates Night. And I would like to open the floor for Mr. Chavez to introduce yourself and let us know your opening statement. Let us know more about yourself, please.
Sure. First of all, thank you for putting it together. I know that collaborating something like this always takes a lot of effort and a lot of people to come together and put this so it'll function well. So thank you again for the effort. Again, my name is Felix Chavez. My wife Nadia and I have been residents of Hutto for the last 20 years. And we moved in Hutto when it was just a little town back in 2000. We made our residence there in Hutto for 15 years, and we live in the Hutto ISD ETJ, and we're still part of the community. I'm a business owner. I'm an insurance agent by trade, and I have been involved with the school district for many years. Since my first one was in kindergarten, she's now in college at Texas Tech. We've been through Watchdogs, PTA, mentor at the high school, and helping the principal currently with some of the projects out there, and currently on the board of the Hutto Resource Center, which is a food pantry. So I've always been involved with the community, and I've always had a vision of being able to do more than just living in a community and enjoying that. So with that said, I have the need in myself to run because I see the things that are coming ahead of us. The tax rolls are down. With COVID, the money coming in from the state is going to be different going forward. So it's going to require some fiscal responsibility. It's going to require some tough decisions, and it's going to require someone and some people that really understand numbers. It's just not just about the education. There's a lot of things in the background that play into this. So with that said, that's one of the reasons I'm running, and hopefully we can make a difference.
Thank you. I will now turn the floor over to Shara. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Please introduce yourself to our group.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Shara Turner, and I'm running for one of the 2 open positions on the Hutto ISD Board of Trustees. I felt it was important to run in order to help ensure that Hutto ISD succeeds in their vision to be the premier choice in education through innovation, leadership, and diversity. This is especially important to me because I'm a parent of 2 Hutto ISD students. My son is a 10th grader at Hutto High School, and my daughter is a 5th grader at Cottonwood Creek. I've been actively involved in the district for the last 11 years because it's always been a priority for me to be a partner in my children's education. 6 years ago, I helped establish the PTA as an organization in Hutto ISD. I've served as PTA president as well as in other board positions at 3 schools in Hutto. In addition, I've had the honor of being the parent representative on several district committees, including the Technology Committee, the Gifted and Talented Committee, and the 2013 Strategic Planning Committee, which was a 5-year plan. In these positions, I helped advocate for one-to-one computing to ensure our students are college and career ready, a formal gifted and talented program to meet the needs of our gifted students, and I proposed the idea of bringing project-based learning to Hutto ISD in our strategic plan 7 years ago, which has made a huge impact in classrooms in Hutto. It's even carried through to the design of our newest elementary school, Curley Elementary. Not only have I been an actively involved parent, but I'm also uniquely qualified for this position. I've spent 20 years in education. I was a teacher for 10 years, but I've spent the last 10 as a content research and design specialist for an educational software company. In this role, I work with thousands of districts across the country. I have a deep understanding of the changing landscape of education and educational research. Therefore, I can help Hutto ISD make informed decisions based on research and efficacy. The needs and expectations of today's student have changed drastically. They need personalization and the skills to thrive in the workforce of the future. The district has made a lot of progress over the last 11 years, but I know there's a lot of room for growth. We can get there, and if I'm elected, my top priorities will be to meet the needs of every learner, prepare all students to be college and career ready, ensure teachers are equipped with the tools and training necessary to help each student achieve success, and build strong partnerships with families and community partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so we're moving on to the moderator portion of the of the forum tonight. And I'm going to ask the same questions of each of you, and each of you will have equal amount of time to answer. The first question I have goes to Ms. Turner. And what area of expertise will you bring to the school board, and why do you think this is so important? I know you covered some of that in your open statement. Can you elaborate a little bit more why you think that you will be the best candidate?
Sure. So one of the things that I've worked a lot with in this district, as well as when I was a teacher, is building partnerships with parents in the community. I think it's vital to the success of our students. It's one of the main reasons why I started the PTA. I know Onisha and I have talked a lot about the need for family engagement programs to bring the school community together, and I definitely agree with that. And I have a lot of experience that I can help bring to the table for developing the community. I also have a lot of experience with recruiting, developing, and retaining teachers. So I really think that we should focus on making sure that we're bringing teachers to the table that represent the diversity of our students, and that we should be developing and retaining those teachers. So my experience in the education community allows me to see how we could partner with schools in the area such as Concordia, Texas State, Houston, Tillotson, UT, et cetera, and start bringing the student teachers into Hutto ISD. I also, oh, sorry, is my time up?
Go ahead, continue your thought.
I was also just going to say that I have a lot of experience developing curriculum and understand how different districts across the country are implementing personalized learning, virtual learning, and blended learning. And so I really want to see us expand on that. I know we've sort of been forced into a lot of it because of COVID, but I think we can do some things long term to really make sure that every student's individual needs are met.
Thank you. Mr. Chavez, I'll repeat the question. What area of expertise will you bring to the school board, and tell us why you think it's important?
I bring a lot of experience in business. I have been an insurance agent and business owner for 20 years. Starting a business from ground floor and getting that business up and running takes planning, takes effort, it takes a lot of guiding. You not only have to market yourself, but you also have to find ways to make things happen when things are tough. And we're living one of those moments right now. Things are extremely tough for a lot of families. There are a lot of families that cannot put things together financially right now because they're missing work, and school takes up that side of help in many cases for a lot of the kids. So kids are in school at the moment with different things that they're going through, and we see these things. As a mentor at the high school, I am able to see a lot of the issues that our kids are going through, and working through that the last 3 years of being able to be in front of kids that truly need someone to talk to, someone that can guide them, and someone that can really pat them in the back and encourage them. It takes a village to grow these kids, and it takes a family of people along with the educators, the teachers, and business partners from the community that can come in and spend the time to be able to plan these things. So, as a business owner, as a parent of also 3 kids that are in the Hutto High School system, or have been, one at Texas Tech, one as a junior in high school, and a little guy that just started kindergarten. So you can see I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed to the Hutto ISD for another 13 years. So as a parent, it really gives you a unique view and eyes that are very common to a lot of the other people that have kids in the school. So just with those areas of expertise, as a parent, as a business owner, and as a person in the community participating in what the school district needs, makes me qualified for this position.
Besides attending school board meetings, what can or will you do to hear parent concerns? This question goes to you first, Ms. Turner.
So this is really, really important to me. I think two-way communication with parents is something that I am really, really focused on. So one of the things, for example, that I've noticed recently is that we've had a lot more parents and teachers logging in to actually watch the school board meetings. And I was so happy about that because, you know, I've been attending them or listening to them for a while, and you maybe have a couple parents, but all of a sudden, you know, parents are very interested to know what's happening because of COVID. I'd like to continue that momentum even after COVID and have opportunities to have, I know the superintendent does the morning coffee talk type things. I'd like to also do that with school board members. I also think it's important. I noticed most recently that it is very hard to know when there are school board meetings. They're not posted events on Facebook. They're not really emailed out to parents. You really have to dig to find out when there's a meeting. So I would like to make sure that that is very known. Everybody knows when the school board meetings are, not just principals, because the principals have it on their school calendar, but I think the community should all know. So to me, that is very, very important. And then I think we constantly need to be opening up opportunities for parents to talk with us. Just anything we can do to bring parents. We could do family events to bring them in and, you know, and then try to talk with them there. We could send out surveys and have opportunities like on Facebook for people to share feedback. But two-way communication, I think, is really, really critical.
Thank you. Mr. Chavez?
I also think that, you know, communication is a big part, but in today's world that we're living in, Zoom has become a big part of what we all do. The Zoom meetings that we're having right now are bringing in, what is this, 15, 20 people on here currently, and it can be a great way of communicating with parents. Shara's right, you know, a lot of the information that is on the school board for meetings is a little bit hidden, and those meetings are super important because a lot of issues are discussed there. But that communication is huge, and I believe that being able to set agendas to hear our community, because there are concerns not only about the education style, not only about the rating of our school, not only about, you know, extracurricular activities that kids would like to participate, but with COVID, sometimes it's difficult. You know, every family has these choices right now. So as we are living a very different world today, I believe that this communication style that we have currently in Zoom can be a huge, huge benefit for us to be able to reach families that might not have the time to be able to come in because of work concerns or time restrictions. So yes, I would continue, and I would expand on a lot of the Zoom communication.
Actually, we have Zoom and online meetings to thank for this forum. So that's, so thank you for at least saying that it does work, because it is working tonight. What is your experience, if any, with inclusion? And what do you think our school district can do to increase inclusive practices? Majority of the highest, I wouldn't say majority, but quite a large portion of the Hutto ISD is made up of non-white students. And we would like to know, what is your experience in dealing with inclusion, and what do you think we can do to have increased use of inclusive practices with the teachers and the administration? And the question first goes to you, Mr. Chavez.
You know, as a business owner, I'm faced with this on a daily basis. You want to find talent. You want to find talent that can take care of your clients, that can take care of the people that you are going to have communication with on a daily basis. So not everyone in my office has to and is going to look like me. I have to be able to blend my staff exactly how our community looks. And that's exactly what our school board needs to do and our school district needs to look like. Inclusion is a huge part of where we're at. I mean, you look at what's going on in the political realm, and it's amazing. But at the end of the day, we all are human beings that are looking for the same things, success. We're looking for the same opportunities, and we're looking for our kids to be able to grow, expand, and prosper. So I believe that having more recourses to be able to attract teachers that can relate to the students in ways that we can reach them at a very young age and through the high school years is going to be important. So I would focus a lot of my effort in being able to find teachers that can resemble what our school district looks like. We have 8,400 students in Hutto ISD. We've got about 1,500 employees. Those two need to mirror as much as possible each other. And that is one of my key concerns with our district currently.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question and reset the time for you, candidate Turner. What is your experience with inclusion, and what do you think our school district can do to increase inclusive practices?
So I definitely agree with Mr. Chavez. I was looking at the demographics for Hutto ISD. We have students we have 44% Hispanic, 35% white, 13% African American, 1% Asian. And if you look at our teachers, we're at 75% white, 19% Hispanic, and 4% African American. So I definitely think we need to focus on recruiting and retaining those teachers that reflect the diversity of our students. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is that I think we really need to start to build and foster a sense of community at our schools. Right now, I'm on the PTA, and we're all constantly trying to get all families to get involved. And I know not everyone is comfortable doing that for various reasons. And I think that we need to really start in the classroom level and build and develop relationships among teachers, other parents, and students. And when you feel comfortable there, then you're more willing to come to other events in the school. So if we're hosting, a family engagement event, or so sorry, my dog. Or something, I would hope that everybody at the school would feel comfortable coming. So I did work at a school in Austin ISD, Matthews Elementary. It is one of the most diverse schools in all of Austin ISD. We have so many different students there. And one of the things that we did a great job of making everyone feel included. And when I think back as to what did that, it was started in the classroom. I would invite parents into the classroom often for learning celebrations. So students would share their writing, their poems, their projects, et cetera. And parents loved joining us. So they all got to know each other. They got to know me. I'd also meet with every parent multiple times in a year, not just one time at a parent conference, which is what we do here in Hutto. And so I got to know them, and we would stay informed and work together throughout the year to make sure their child succeeded. In addition, we took the time to give ongoing feedback to parents. And, I think written comments or, acknowledgement throughout the year of like a relationship with the teacher and the parents is really important. So I still keep in touch with many of those families today. I really feel like this has been lacking in Hutto ISD since I've been here for 11 years. I personally know a lot of the teachers at the school, but I'm one of very few parents who's up there a lot in building those relationships. I know not everybody can do that. So to me, that's where it needs to start. And from there, when people build those relationships, then we can start growing from there.
Thank you, candidate Turner.
Mm-hmm.
The next question that we would like to pose: how should the school board determine if district personnel are adequately trained in issues such as autism, mental illness, and DEI? DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And is that in the purview of the school board trustees? And I will give Ms. Candidate Turner the opportunity to answer that question first.
I definitely think we need to have accountability. So one of the things that I've seen as I've been on the different committees in Hutto is that a lot of times we make a plan, or we say we expect teachers to do this or be certified in this, but we don't ever have a way to check that they have done that or that they are meeting those criteria. And so to me, putting processes in place where we have rubrics and criteria to ensure that everyone is trained and is then following through with fidelity on each of those programs that they've been trained on, then we can ensure that everybody is actually meeting the needs of all of our students.
Candidate Chavez, I'll repeat the question. How should the school board determine if district personnel are adequately trained in issues such as autism, mental illness, and diversity and inclusion?
Well, first of all, we need to have an accountability of who has taken courses to meet those requirements. Of course, not every student is going to be in a classroom with a child with autism, so that might be a class that is a little bit more limited to a lot of the students or the teachers. But I believe that having that accountability of having a known list of all the teachers that are taking these courses that can meet the demands of what the community are asking for. Because at the end of the day, the people who really run the school district are you, me, and everyone else that's a member of this community. By our votes, by our demands, by our involvement in the school district. When we see something, that we can speak on it and that we can make that change. Making a change in a school district sometimes requires major involvement from parents. And when the community speaks out on the subject, the school district needs to pay attention to that. And we are facing some of that currently with some of the schools that are in the campus. So I go back to making sure that the teachers are taking the courses that are required to meet these needs.
Thank you. I would like to remind the audience that you could submit your own questions in the chat and we'll do our best to get to each one. My last question is, and for the sake of the audience, I might be a little bit more elaborate, so you just have to wait for the question to come. The way how the school board is set up is you have 2 seats open and there are 5 candidates. So the top 2 vote getters, is that the right way? Yes. The top 2 with the highest votes will be able to fill the slots that Mr. Fella and Connie Gooden have left. So at some point, something motivated each of you to say, you know what, I want to run. So I would like the question specifically now is what specifically motivated you to run for the school board position? And that first opportunity to answer will go to Mr. Chavez.
Well, I had an incredible neighbor in Miss Connie Goody, who for years asked if I would be interested in running. And 3 years ago, when I became a mentor at the Hutto High School, I was faced with emotional conversations with kids that were going through a whole lot. There were smart kids. There were kids that were capable of doing a lot of work, but were faced with challenges that sometimes just needed someone to nudge them in the right direction. And when I started to see this more often in the kids that we were talking to, it really became apparent to me that I needed to be involved more in the school district and less in some of the other business community involvements. So I spent most of my time in helping out in projects with the principal and, in the counseling division with the Hutto High School in meeting some of the needs that they had. And it's amazing, we don't have enough mentors in our schools. We don't have enough mentors in our Hutto High School. We need more males, we need more females that can come in and can take a little bit of time, 1 hour, 30 minutes a week, that can spend time with kids that truly would appreciate someone applauding them and encouraging them. So that was the number one motivator for me. Second of all, I have 3 kids, as I mentioned. All of them are so different. One of them was a cheerleader and an incredible singer, and just things came really easy. I didn't have to work too hard with that one to get things done. My second one took a little bit more work. So they were very different, raised in the same household, so I could see that my needs in educating and working with my own kids were different. So our teachers are faced with the same realities that we as parents are. And then we have a little guy coming on board, and you can see the difference in age. It's a very different way of being able to train kids now than when we were training our oldest one. So you know, those two things, those two issues have motivated me to run and be even more involved in our school district.
Thank you. Candidate Turner, what motivated you to run for school board position?
Well, you know, when I first came to Hutto, I got involved because I had left teaching, where I had been teaching for 10 years, and we moved to Hutto, and you know, I enrolled my children in school here, and I immediately felt like I really need to be connected to my children's school. I could never just drop them off and drive to work and not know what's going on, and it was really important to me. So I really I met the principal and said, "Hi, I'm Shara. I'm here to help. What can I do?" Because it was so important to me. I've seen really great schools, and I wanted my children to be in a really great school and get all the support they need. I wanted to develop a sense of community. So I said, if I want to see change, I have to get involved. And so over time, I got more and more involved with the district. You know, I was in the different committees, and then I started to see, wow, the district is really taking our feedback. I mean, I would be the one lone parent on some of these committees saying, I think it's really important that all these laptops that you have sitting around the school are like assigned to students, because I want my children on technology. Like, I work for a software company. My husband works for Dell. I want my children to be using technology. Of course, not all the time, because that would be too much. There's certainly a balance, but they actually listened to me. I was even going up against, you know, teachers who were saying, "Oh, I'm worried that students won't bring them to the classroom." And so we said, let's give it a try. I've seen districts who have done this successfully. And so they did it. And now every student in Hutto High School has a Chromebook that they're taking to school with them. And I asked my son, you know, are the teachers having issues with students not bringing their Chromebooks? And he's like, no, it's great. And so I'm like, okay. So the fact that I can see the district is listening to me and implementing the things that I'm suggesting made me feel like, you know, okay, maybe I can do this on a larger scale with the school board and make an impact. I have a lot of knowledge I can bring to the table. I can see areas of improvement, and I can see districts and schools who are doing really awesome things. You know, I'm going to conferences, seeing schools in New Hampshire doing competency-based learning, where students are doing these big projects where they start businesses, and then they have these capstone projects at the end of when they graduate that they present to the teachers. And I was like, why aren't we doing that? And so I think when you're, you know, when you just know your own community, and it's hard for you to think outside the box and try new things. And the fact that I can see these things working well in other districts made me think I would like to bring that to our school district. So, sorry. I went through Hippo Nation University, which I know Mr. Chavez did too. We learned a lot about the district, all the ins and outs with the superintendent. And I think that gave me the confidence to say, you know what, I think I can do this. And it's funny that he said his neighbor encouraged him, because my neighbor, Erica Griffin, who's on here now, also encouraged me. So we have that in common.
Thank you, Candidate Turner. We're now moving on to the audience Q&A section. And I want to remind the audience, or those that are on the call, that you can submit any question. If you have the moment, we will get to them. And the first question goes to Candidate Turner. I'm trying to read the question. Hold on now. How do you think the district can address the needs of the socioeconomic disadvantaged families, such as after-school programs, anything relating to Title I? Can you speak on that, Candidate Turner?
Yes. So, you know, I worked at a school where students from the homeless shelter in Austin came to our classrooms on a regular basis. And when they came, we took them in as if they were our own children. And we supported their families, like, so much more than just in the classroom. Sorry. My dogs are being very loud. So we really partnered with our parent and family liaison, which I know we had. Dana Wilcott was here in Hutto ISD, was previously our parent liaison. She did an amazing job, and I want to make sure that we keep doing that. I mean, she would take children to eye doctor appointments. She would, you know, meet with the families on a regular basis, to where, like, they formed a partnership and they felt like her own family. And I think that it's really important for us to have that person still who can really support those families outside the classroom. When it comes to in the classroom, I think that we should also be doing lots of parent support group. So have opportunities for parents to be able to come together and learn from each other. And I think that is for, you know, all students. Like if you have a child who is dyslexic, I would love to see a parent support group for those parents. You know, if you have a student who is gifted, I would love to see, you know, a parent support group for that. But I also think that bringing in these families to that as well would provide them a lot of support, you know, help with homework, whatnot, things like that.
Thank you, Candidate Turner. Candidate Chavez, I'll repeat the question. How do you think the district can address the needs of the socioeconomically disadvantaged families, such as after-school programs, parent liaisons, particularly at our Title I schools?
You know, I have always seen the after-school program as an underfunded program. I think that especially when we see the numbers in our district of where our families lie in the socioeconomic realm, I believe that we need to spend a little bit more money and make it more resourceful for the families that cannot get back to their kids at 2:45, 3 o'clock, that have to stay at the school a little longer, and a more rounded program where we could have a tutoring process, because that's a major moment for kids to be able to get their homework done, get the achievement of progressing in their schoolwork done before they get to school. I mean, before they get home. Um, there are also a tremendous need, like Ms. Turner mentioned, of having more of a group of people that can coordinate that, and whether that's a paid position or whether that's more of a voluntary position is to be seen. But the biggest issue is having a bigger budget for that program, and um, that is key. The more um, resources that we can pull into that moment in a child's life, I think can be a huge improvement in academic results. Right now, we are somewhere at about a 92% graduation percentage. And in 2018, I believe we were somewhere at 95. So as our district has grown and we have more people come into our district, of course, those numbers are going to fluctuate. But we need to have those graduation numbers up higher than that. We're a community that can do that. And if we look at that area in the focus of the budget and what we can redistribute to that area, to that need, I think we'll see some big results.
Thank you. Both of you earlier spoke about the makeup of our student body and our current teacher or school personnel background. And so one of the questions proposed is, how would you recruit a more diverse teacher population? And for those that are currently employed by the district, how would you develop inclusion training for our existing teacher body? And I believe this first should go to candidate Chavez.
Well, you know, there are campuses around town that are very close to us with students that have grown in the area that would be great candidates. You know, we have Houston-Tillotson College down in East Austin. We have Concordia. We have a lot of campuses in the area that are great, unique places for us to be able to find great, talented individuals that can work in our district. And we can recruit some really fine individuals and fine people from those campuses. We can always and we should always recruit also from the big campuses. There are a lot of great candidates in those areas, but we also have to find the teachers that are doing extremely well in other districts that might not be as challenged or might be looking for a better situation. Maybe it's a little bit more pay. Maybe it's a little bit more of an opportunity to be a little bit more involved in the curriculum, where they are able to be more unique in their style of teaching, that we can attract those candidates over here. So I think it's a step of being able to recruit at the schools. It's a step of being able to recruit in other districts from places that have teachers that are qualified candidates that we can attract to Hutto. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is that, as I mentioned earlier, we want to be able to reflect our teachers to look a lot like our students. And when we are able to get to that level, Hutto ISD is going to be much better for it. Now, to the case of the teachers that are currently in our campus that might need some reflection of being able to get the students and the teachers to reflect each other, there are plenty of courses and training material that is available for our teachers through our state. And I don't think that those numbers are where they should be currently. So that's going to be something that we will look at.
I appreciate all of you who are continuing to stay on the call. In respect for the candidates' time, if you have any additional questions, please pose it now. And so we'll allow the last few questions to go through. Candidate Turner, I would like to give you the equal time to answer the same question. I'll repeat it. Excuse me. In regards to recruiting a more diverse teacher population, how do you propose we do so in Hutto? And how do we also develop training for an existing teacher body when it comes to diversity and inclusion?
So when it comes to recruiting and retaining teachers, like I said earlier, I think we need to really partner with schools such as Houston, Tillotson, Concordia, Texas State, et cetera. And really get student teachers to see how great Hutto is. I mean, when you see how happy the teachers are because you're there working in that environment, it makes you want to stay on as a teacher. So when I attended the University of Texas, we did our student teaching and tutoring in schools all around the Austin area. The schools really benefited from this because they were able to infuse some of the best practices based on latest research coming straight out of the colleges. It also brought in a very diverse pool of teachers who weren't just from that area. They weren't just from Hutto. You know, they were going to school there and they came from all different places around the country. But because they did their student teaching in that school, they ended up wanting to stay even after they graduated. So many of us ended up getting hired by the schools that we student taught in because we felt so comfortable there. So I really think that we need to focus on recruiting teacher preparation programs to have their student teachers here in Hutto because those partnerships can have a long-term impact by building a pipeline of quality teachers coming into Hutto all the time outside of the people who just live here. And then when it comes to training, I recently did a training that I really think that we need to have our teachers do. It was by a company called Restorative Practice. And it's all about diversity and equity and inclusion in school districts. I did it because they came to my company to train us on how to write curriculum with that in mind and how to train teachers. But they also go to schools and train teachers on how to do this. And so I think it's really important that we invest in professional development by experts, not just anybody, but by people who do this across the country for schools everywhere. I know we also have our diversity and inclusion committee that we started up in Hutto ISD. I'm really happy that we've made that a priority. And I think it's important that when we go out and recruit teachers that we tell them that we have this committee, because that way they can see that it's a mission for Hutto ISD, it's priority. We have actionable goals that we're working toward, and then they will then want to come to our district.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, we'll go to candidate Turner first. What role do you think the Hutto Police Department should have engaging with students and families on the campus?
It's funny that you asked this question. I was thinking a lot about this because I drop my son off at the high school every day and I see them there. And I'm like, what are they doing? It doesn't seem like we have a lot of problems at the high school. Like, it's great they're here. It makes me feel safe when I drop off my child. But I thought, you know what we really need to be doing is using them to be proactive rather than reactive. So I really think that they need to be going into classrooms, even at the elementary level, and doing ongoing classroom visits and really focusing on social and emotional learning within the classroom. I think that, you know, if you can focus on the well-being of our children, which is so crucial right now, that a lot of the things that the police are there to hopefully prevent in high school won't be as much of an issue. So I think that if we can really focus on social and emotional learning and have those Hutto ISD police go into classrooms early on and you know, really try to talk with children, and I think it'll involve partnership with some of our counselors, that we will see a lot less behavior referrals. Issues will decrease, graduation rates will probably increase, because students will know how to communicate, and they'll have less stress and anxiety, and they'll really feel like they have a life vision, and can strengthen some of the bonds that they have with the people in their school.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Candidate Chavez, I'll repeat the question. What role do you think Hutto Police Department should have in engaging with students and families on the campus?
You know, the first thing that the Hutto Police Department should always do is be there to serve and protect. That is number one. Our students should always feel safe at the campuses. They should always be able to come and go as the bells ring, and know that someone is there to protect them. Where I think we need to do a much better job is in the communication styles of where the police department lies, and being able to reflect with the students and build those bridges of respect and collaboration of working together. And it starts at the elementary level. So once a year, some of these students go to the fire department or go to the police department, and then they get to know who these people are. And if it happens a little bit more, and more programs are developed for that collaboration and communication, by the time those students are in high school, they just see the police department as someone there to help them and to protect them, and nothing else. And it also shows on the side of the police department that what we are looking for in that department is exactly that, to build that relationship with the community, with the students, and with the school district. So absolutely, I think it's a two-way street, but at the same time, I think it needs to come from the school district and the police department to be able to be involved with the kids more than just one visit on the elementary level.
Second to last question goes to Ms. Candidate Turner first. No, Candidate Chavez first. Do you think we have enough communication and collaboration with the city of Hutto?
You talking about our district?
Yes.
Yes. Personally, I don't think so. I think that there could be maybe a person that can work in the two boards, or maybe the two groups, that can communicate back and forth and be the liaison for both groups. And I think that would be a very unique style of being able to be informed from both sides. I think that with this year being an election year, the district with COVID, and of course the city with the things that they're dealing with, have been very tight in what they're doing, that the communication between both areas is probably not as good as it should be, or what we've had in the past. So I think there needs to be an improvement there, and maybe someone that can reflect in that role of bringing more communication from both sides.
Thank you. Candidate Turner?
So I know that, Mr. Terrence Owens kind of serves as a liaison between the school board and the city of Hutto. He sits on several boards and regularly brings that information back to school board meetings. So I definitely appreciate that and think we need to keep doing it. But in general, no, I don't think there's enough communication between the city and the school district. I really think also that we could partner together in a lot of ways. I know within the schools, we have tried so hard to build community partnerships. We've reached out to churches and retirement centers. We need mentors. We need volunteers to come into our school. And it needs to be people who work in Hutto and are here or live in Hutto during the day. Because a lot of parents in Hutto ISD, we leave Hutto to go work jobs in surrounding areas. That's why we can't get people into the schools to be the mentors that we need for our kids. And so I think if we that we could really, did I cut out?
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
Just a bit.
I was just saying, I think we could really partner together to make a big impact.
Final question for tonight, and the first opportunity goes to candidate Turner to answer, is what do you think is the biggest challenge facing Hutto ISD?
I think one of the biggest challenges, well, do we want to know right now, like for COVID or in general? Because I think it's different. But I'll start with where we are right now. I probably would have answered this differently last spring, but I think the biggest challenge right now is considering what education looks like from here moving forward. I think it will look very different than it did last year at this time. I think that, we've seen now what virtual learning can look like, and a lot of people like it. And we've seen, how we can have a blended model. I think that we need to move forward, figuring out a way to be flexible ongoing in the future. I think that we need to take some of the things that are working well right now and figure out how to build on that momentum and really change the way education looks in Hutto ISD. And I think that is a huge challenge. I mean, we've made a lot of progress just from March until now, but I think now we can move forward even more. And so it takes a lot of coordination, but I know we can do it.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez, what do you think is Hutto ISD's biggest challenge, current challenge?
I think the biggest challenge that we're facing, and we're going to continue to face this semester and next year and possibly the year after that, is going to be our budget. With the tax rolls being flat, with the state not funding the districts the same fashion because of COVID, and the rules that regulate the attendance, it is different right now. We look at the last crisis that we had back in 2007, 2008, and the school districts were affected tremendously. There's only a certain amount of dollars that can stretch out to be able to pay for a lot of the budget of the programs that we have in our schools. So I think that we're about to face a bigger reality in the dollars that are available for us, especially in this new 2020-21 school year. So that is one of my biggest concerns, and that's why I'm also very involved and running for school board.
Thank you. Well, we're now down to the closing arguments. I'm so tired. We're moving into our closing part of our presentation, and each of you will be given 90 seconds to make a closing statement. And that first one will go to candidate Turner.
Okay, in closing, I just want to say, if I'm elected, I will bring my deeply rooted knowledge of our students, schools, and community, paired with my extensive background in education to support the Hutto ISD strategic vision. The beliefs that resonate the most with me include every decision should be made in the best interest of students. Success is possible for every student. The pursuit and acceptance of diversity is critical. We will be responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. Parents are vital to the success of our students. We need open two-way communication and transparency, and character is as important as academic achievement. So thank you so much for having me, and I just want to remind everyone, you can vote for two of us. Thank you.
Yes, you can vote for two of you. Mr. Chavez, go ahead. The floor is yours. Closing statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having us both, Shara and I, tonight. It's been an amazing event for us, too, to be able to learn what some of the questions are from the community, and we take them to heart. So, if elected, I would continue to work tirelessly as I do with the members of our board and with our school district teachers, and of course, the community to be able to make the wishes of the community happen and taking care of the graduation rates, making things available, programs available, resources available for students that can continue to progress and do well. So at the end of the day, we're all looking for better days for our students. And that's what motivates all of us as community leaders, as business owners, and as parents.
Thank you. I want to thank each of you for agreeing to join us tonight for this forum, but even for your tenacity to making sure that we were able to hold this forum, even although it was delayed. Just for the audience sake, there is 5 people running for 2 seats available, 2 seats, and 1 candidate was not able to make, and her name is Mina Davis. She did submit a brief statement that I would like to read, and I have an accent. I'm going to try to give it some justice. She says, "Howdy, y'all. It is with great regret that I am not able to attend this forum. For those that don't know me, my name is Mina Davis, and I live in Sienna subdivision right behind Curley Elementary. I'm currently a freelance data scientist working a project to help turn out the vote. I sit on the Austin Community College North Region Board and the East Williamson County Boys and Girls Club Board. 3 key reasons as to why I decided to run was to help maintain our budget, to ensure healthy growth in our district, to increase community engagement, especially as our community is changing and becoming more diverse, and working with other members of the board for common sense solutions that would help ensure that no family, student, or staff member is left behind. Please know that you can vote for 2 seats this November, and I certainly hope that I am one of them. You can learn more about me at mina4huttoisd.com. Have a great evening, and she can't wait to virtually meet us from a safe, socially safe distance. She will be out at old time days, and I would like to invite everyone to come out to our 35th old time days. We will actually have a get out and vote table during there. It is not too late, please, to complete the 2020 census. Our next city council meeting is this week. You can virtually attend that meeting, and you could also submit a statement to be read. Voter registration is going to be ending at October 5th. This is our last week to get our last push if you're not registered to vote. You can learn more about the Hutto ISD trustees and when they meet them by going to hipponation.org under trustees. They meet every 4th Thursday of the month. You're allowed to submit a public comment via email. They give a link there if you have some concerns there. And now they've opened their meetings virtually. So after they've met for the first portion that they've met, they allowed public input or public viewing. So there are many ways to get involved with the school board and give your input, not just tonight, but we want you to also vote for any of these candidates that you feel best serve your needs and participate in the active ongoing of the administration of the school. They're the one that help controls the budget. They're the one that has direct certain funds. They're the one that also sets our tax rates. And without them, there are many things that the schools are hampered to doing. So they play a vital role in our kids' education and how the administration is run. Anything else that I miss? Early voting starts October 13th. I would like for you to encourage everyone to vote early. Our early voting location here in Hutto is at the Wilco Annex, and the easiest way to describe that is just behind Lowe's on Edge Smith Boulevard. I hope everybody takes the time to go out and vote and learn more about any of the candidates that are here tonight, as well as those that could not make it. Let's see. Anything else? My co-host Vanessa Harry, did I forget? Early voting. Early voting ends October 30th. So early voting starts October 30th and it ends October 30th. You have 2 weeks. You could, if you want to get your shopping and voting done, you could go to Randall's and Round Rock. And any early voting location, doesn't necessarily have to be in Hutto, will have access to our local ballots as well. I think that's it. I want to thank all of our guests for tonight and all of the families that joined us, and anyone who's listening to this recording, vote, vote, vote.
And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, the attendees, the candidates, and the hosts for working around and being flexible with the extra time and the delay. I truly apologize, and I'm just very happy that you guys were able to still make it work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
You can end the recording.